Good afternoon, all the respected delegates. We welcome you all to the very first session of Medication Safety in Clinical Practice, an AICTE sponsored 2-week quality improvement program for all faculty organized by Bharatiya Vidyapeeth deemed to be universities, Poona College of Pharmacy. We welcome all the delegates who belonged from all the corner stores of the country and still contributed to it. Before commencing the sessions, we would like all of you to take into account some rules for the sessions. First is, we request everyone to mute yourselves during the entire sessions until asked to unmute. We would request all to kindly turn off their cameras during the sessions. All queries will be addressed during the end of each sessions. In case of any queries, you can even post it in the chat box. Also, attendance for the entire sessions is compulsory. Attendance would be shared in the group or chat box of the meeting, which will be shared with you anytime between the sessions. So be attentive. The feedback form for all these sessions would be circulated at the end of the day, and it's mandatory for all to fill it up. Now, without any further delay, I would like to cordially invite our first chairperson for the day, Professor Bijoy Kumar Panda sir, Assistant Professor at Department of Clinical Pharmacy, Poona College of Pharmacy, Bharati Vidyapeeth University. He is a postgraduate from Jadavpur University, Kolkata, and 13 years of academic experience and 10 years of research experience. He has for his account 30 international research articles and systemic reviews and 10 national publications in various peer-reviewed journals. Also, the author to 50 oral and paper presentations in various international and national conferences and secured various awards for best scientific research presentation in various international conferences. We welcome you, sir. And now I request, please mute yourself. And now I kindly request Bijoy sir to take over the session now.
Yeah, thank you, Kangan. Can I have the slides? And thank you to the organizer for giving an opportunity to chair this session. Can I have, yes, Ayush?
Yes, sir, we are doing.
Yes.
Sir, is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible. Yes, Kangan, it's quite good. Now I can see. Fine.
Okay.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So, welcome, delegates, and I welcome you, Dr. Ajit Singh, to this 14 days AICT sponsored quality improvement program. I'll be just briefing out the bio sketch of Dr. Ajit Singh. He is a PharmD graduate and a PhD holder from Manipal University. And basically, if you look, he has his most of his research concerns related to cardiology and heart failure. He has a rich clinical experience related to registry handling, where he was one of the principal investigator, and site coordinator for phase 3 clinical trials, then investigator of a global heart failure clinical study, report HF. And these are all sponsored and by Novartis Pharma Private Limited. He was also a research associate at Manipal Center for Clinical Research and Department of Cardiology. Academic experience of 3 years and research experience of over 8 years, publications of more than 40, book chapters 3, and research grants he has from various industry and government agencies, as we can see, and has contributed to guest lectures, more than 20 guest lectures. He is a recipient of Young Scientist Award 2020, Achievers Award 2019, and he did his PhD on a scholarship of TMA Pi scholarship. So travel grants from various reputed organizations, if you look through, from ICMR, DST, European Society of Cardiology, American College of Cardiology, and he has memberships in various reputed organizations like ISCOR and American College of Cardiology, Internal Society of Pharmacoeconomics and Outcome Research. And apart from this, I would like to tell you that he's very young and he's an entrepreneur. He has his own CliMed, and he's doing wonderful, where he is giving a guidance towards to the students for their future of higher studies and related to their industrial approach. I welcome you, Dr. Ajit Singh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And first of all, thank you, invite me. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you very much. So I'll just, I think, can you please enable me to share the screen?
Yes, sir, you can do now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Manjusa madam. Thank you. Okay, so I remember when I was, finishing my PharmD post-baccalaureate, actually, I was PB. So I was doing my internship in, cardiology. Most of the time I spent in cardiology in my internship time also, like 4 months of medicine, I spent completely in cardiology. Then I was supposed to go to psychiatry, I was supposed to go to dermatology and other postings. I used to go in the morning, like 2 to 3 hours. Then I come back to hospital, I'm in the cardiac wards, and I used to work in the cardiology. And for just a thought, as we are drug specialist, we are known to be drug specialist actually, as we are clinical pharmacists, and we should have a good knowledge, and actually we should know everything about the drugs, about their safety, about their monitoring, about the reporting, about the product, side effect, everything. And that time I was discussing with my HOD. So we were discussing what we can do. He just asked me simply one day, like, Ajit, would you like to, continue after PharmD in the cardiology? I told, sir, this is my passion. I love cardiology. I would definitely do. So he told, I have an idea, and if we can write a grant. So he told me about the registry, like registry in heart failure. And I was wondered, sir, registries, why registries? Why you want to do registries are just, one of the simplest studies, and there is no intervention. We are not doing anything to the patient. We are not giving any drug, and we are not even suggesting them anything, no intervention from our side right now. So, and you just want to collect the data, and you just want to, check the trend over the years, the treatment pattern, and many other things about the patient, just collecting the data and analyze the data. So he told us, right, let's see how it goes, because in India it is not there, and outside India registries are very famous. Even I got convinced. I read literature, and I found that it would be interesting to do something in registries. You won't believe, we wrote one proposal. We submitted to five agencies, including DST, ICMR, and three other, private firms, pharmaceutical companies, including Novartis, right? So, and the fund was quite high, more than a crore. We wrote for a fund more than a crore, just for, you won't believe, just for 1,000 patients, less than 1,000 patients. So when the results and all came, it got accepted at three places: one government and two private agencies, two pharmaceutical companies. ICMR agreed to give 36 lakhs for registry study. One another pharmaceutical industry, they were agreed to give around 60 lakh. And Novartis was starting report HF international study, international registry. So they thought that we are in the same league, and they gave 96 lakh for my registry study. 96 lakh for that trial. I mean, for the just registry study, clinical registry. So since then, I was, wondering how it will go, and we have huge money, and we are not using actually a much interventions. So I will request everyone to put off their mics, please, for some time. I will open up in between. Will my session will be totally discussive, interactive, so we can interact even in between. So I got 96 lakhs. I was wondered how it will go. There were expenses, of course, but we did not know. Like, I was not aware much, frankly. And then we started the process. We had the protocol. Then we came to know that we need someone to manage our data. We need some third party. We need some associates, because that registry is not only one center. This registry was multi-centric, but single institute, MAHE, Manipal Academy of Higher Education. But Manipal Academy of Higher Education has its 6 hospitals and centers where we have to collect the data from Salem, from Mangalore, from Bangalore, from Udupi, from Manipal main center, from Karkala. There are many centers, 5, 6 centers. And after 1 year, when we analyzed the data, when I analyzed the data, I mean, it was very interesting to collect the data, to talk to the patient, to guide them, to counsel them, to collect. I mean, to fill the forms and get all the data. I was very interested in heart failure. I was very interested in cardiology, so I was very much enthusiastic. I was doing it passionately. After 1 year, when I analyzed the data, and I sent few of the data to European Society of Cardiology, and American College of Cardiology, and the top two in the world, AHA, American Heart Association. They accepted it warmly. They gave me full funds to travel to Austria, to Dubai, and to another states of European Union. I was wondering, wow, how powerful the registries are actually. And then I got into this registries, and now I'm continuing this Manipal heart failure registry. It was actually planned for 3 years, but now it is continuing. It's still continuing. I'm the principal investigator, and I am I'm working as national director at World Youth Heart Federation, and continuing few more registries there. And you won't believe why we are doing registries in India. There is no surveillance system. There is no surveillance system for any disease, you know, which is, having the quality data, and proper monitoring, proper reporting, proper, communication with the government or private agencies. No one. There are few. They have started everything. Of course, they have started everything from government side, for the cancer, for arthritis, for HIV, for TB. There are. But for super specialties, in toxicologies, in drug safety, in cardiology, in psychiatry. There is no registries are there. Okay, so we need to focus on the registries. And today's topic is clinical registries and drug safety monitoring. These two topics are totally diverse, totally diverse. These have a little connection, but I'll tell you that connection and how you can use registries into the drug safety monitoring. Today, I will try to establish that connection, that association, so you can understand that. Okay, without wasting time, let's start. So I do not have any conflict of interest to declare. The data to prepare this presentation, I adopted from many websites, many research papers, and from my experience. So no conflict of interest. So let's simplify this, simplify the complexity of this picture. Now you can open your mics a few ways. And if you really have something to tell about this picture, this picture, I'll just tell you the complexity and we will simplify it. And we will correlate it with registry. Okay, in the picture,
Patient
left side,
counseling.
patient counseling. Okay, kind of, yeah. Yes. I will say in the left side, when doctor is seeing the patient, maybe physical or clinical assessment, counseling, and patient has just reached to the hospital. So clinical assessment, right? In the right side picture, we can see the drugs here. If you follow my cursor, drugs, I monitoring, right? Biological investigations, prescriptions, all other investigations, again drugs, other investigations, then follow-up, mobile follow-up, telephonic follow-up, again prescriptions. Many things are there. This shows the complex. Or we can say in one word, you can illustrate every step of the patient when he or she is in the hospital, or when he or she is going through a process of hospital or healthcare system for a checkup or for some disease, right? Okay, we'll see that. So now come to the registry. What are registries actually? Registry is nothing but registry is a collection of data. When we say clinical registry, means of course related to patient disease or any exposure. But registries are the collection of complete data. When I say complete data means refer that picture. From the clinical assessment, from the physical assessment, sign and symptoms, history, family history, medication history, medical history, and then after that, just to make a provisional diagnosis, some initial blood tests, biological, biochemical investigations, maybe some, ECG, echo, or some X-rays, or some other radiographic imaging, and then prescription, full drug, trends of medicine, guidelines, guided therapy, everything related to side effects, dose, age, everything, whatever we have to see in a patient or in a prescription or through the doctor's eye, everything will be there. The complete information, right? So registries are referred as patient registry or disease registry, is an interactive database that collects, organizes, and displays the healthcare information. Okay, why we do that? Registries are done just to get the outcome, just to analyze the outcome. How? What is outcome actually? Outcome means it could be anything: mortality, morbidity, improvement in the health, quality of life. It could be patients, emotional state improvement, physical state improvement. It could be any drug efficacy, it could be any device efficacy, it could be any cost effectiveness, drug effectiveness, outcome. We are looking at the outcome. We are giving something to the patient, or patient is on the standard care, or patient is on the treatment. We are collecting all the data and we are looking for a long-term outcome. Maybe short term, maybe like mortality within 30 days or mortality within 5 years. So long term, short term, anything. We are looking for the outcome analysis, right? Outcome is whether it is mortality or improvement, health related quality, emotional, anything. It could be anything. The end point, what we get from the treatment, or what we get from the intervention, or what we get from the any device or anything in a patient. And so outcome could be decided for three types here. You know, one could be condition, one could be disease, one could be exposure. In three dimensions, if we see immediately. What is condition? It could be any condition, related to health, maybe not disease. Okay. Disease is when we are focusing on a specific disease, like maybe heart attack, myocardial infarction, or maybe arthritis, or maybe diabetes mellitus, or maybe dementia, or maybe depression, anything, right? Exposure, when we are looking for the exposure, the recent example, COVID-19 is an exposure to the population, to the patient, and now we are looking for the outcome. COVID-19 is an exposure. We are giving different drugs, different, recreational drugs, and many other therapies, natural therapies, so many things we are using. But just to look at the outcome, we have to follow the patient. We have to collect the information. We have to organize that data, and we have to analyze it. Okay, which drug was much effective? Which drug is giving more side effects? Which drug is not good for the patient? Right. So for the condition, disease, exposure, if we are looking for the outcome, we have to go for the registry. Okay. What are the registry designs? Registries are always observational studies. Observational studies, not analytical or not experimental. Not experimental. Remember this. Registry studies are just observational. You do not have to do anything from your side. You just have to observe the patient, observe the condition for the, whatever is your objective, you just have to observe. You are not going to do anything. Anything means any experimental drug or any experimental substance or any experimental design. Nothing. Observational. But now there is a twist. Observational registries or observational study methods could be interventional or non-interventional. Non-interventional, we are not doing, where we are not, intervening anything with the treatment or with the any pattern or anything. But what is interventional? See, in the registry, interventional means the investigator is not doing anything. That intervention is not from the investigator side. That is the twist here. Intervention will be there, but intervention will not be there from the investigator side, or that intervention will not be very specific experimental design. That will be a standard of care. If the intervention, like a drug or any device which is given as experimental design, given as experimental substance, then that will be experimental study. But for an example, now the new drug for the heart failure, sacubitril plus valsartan, has launched. That is a very good drug, very nice drug, I will say. Okay. So that drug, when the drug was in the third phase 3 trial, that is called experimental. Experimental. We were giving that drug intentionally to check the efficacy, right? But after market, now drug is there in the market, and now patient is consuming, doctors are writing. Now the drug is standard of care. Now the drug is standard of care after all the trials. So now this drug is in the post-market surveillance phase. Got my point? Post-market surveillance phase. So now in this phase, if we focus on that drug, if we keep it as an intervention, or if we check it like, okay, there are the prescriptions, and we just focus on that drug. Okay, we will take all the patients who are receiving sacubitril plus valsartan combination. We will take those patients and we will check the treatment pattern. We will check the outcome trend in these patients. So that is your intervention. That means investigator is not doing from his side or her side. The registry will be interventional study only, but the intervention will be standard of care, not experimental. Remember this. This is the fine line where you have to decide. That is not experimental, right? So observational studies, completely observational studies. So in that we aggregate the large data sets and analyze the trend or patterns in the treatment and outcomes, right? So did you understand this registry? Now, did you understand this picture? From the patient when he or she is entering to the hospital to the outcomes, everything is registry. Everything will be counted in registry, right? Registry. I'm talking about registry. Now there will be surprising fact in another slide, in the next slide for you. That's all about registry. Everything will be counted. Everything you have to mention. You have to collect everything. You cannot miss a single information. Now, here, just check registry versus registry study. Okay, so these two are not similar. Registry and registry study, these two terms are not similar. Both are observational. Study design is same, but why not similar? What is the difference? Check it out here, right? Nature. We have to collect all the data. Registries are just data collection system. Like, heart failure registry, we are collecting all the data, complete data. Some government is running TB registry. They're collecting all the data, all type of patients. Every patient who is having TB, they are collecting. Disease registry, right? Breast cancer registry. They're collecting all the women with breast cancer, whether it is any type of breast cancer, any type of treatment they're taking, any type of pattern they're in the trend, whatever is there, they're collecting all. That means registry. They are making a register. They are making a register of all the patients related to one condition or one disease or one exposure. Got it? As we are seeing in the COVID patients, now we check every day in Arogya Setu or some other apps, in some John Hopkins University website, like, okay, how many patients are there in India, or how many patients are worldwide, like in India 1.4 crore, or 1.5 1.04 crore, 1.05 crore of COVID patients. How? That is register. That is registry. They're collecting all the reports. That is registry. They're collecting all the information about COVID positive patients. So that's registry. Whether that COVID patient has diabetes, whether that COVID patient has heart attack, that COVID patient has any other condition, breast cancer, or any other condition, but they are collecting all the information. That means this is a register. That is a registry of the patient or of a specific disease or condition. What is registry study? Registry studies are very much focused on the objectives. When you are taking only COVID patients with diabetes, you are observing all the patients who are COVID positive plus having diabetes. That is focused. That is a registry study. Got my point? When we are looking like, okay, the patients who are having heart failure, that is registry study. Heart failure, or we are looking for the mortality in heart failure. or we are looking for only heart failure with the preserved ejection fraction, or we are looking only for diabetes with ketoacidosis. That is registry study. So in registry study, we have a research question, we have a hypothesis, and we always follow the objective. Registries are long-term, open-ended. There is no close end. We have to follow them up like 4 years, 10 years, 8 years, 20 years. We have to collect the data, right? And we have to analyze the data. We have to arrange that data and analyze periodically, right? But in registry studies, we have the plan, we have full-fledged plan, we have full-fledged protocol. Okay, we are collecting this data for 3 years, we will analyze every 6 months, and we will look out for the mortality, or we will look out for the treatment pattern, or we'll look out for this outcome, or we'll look out for this any drug related problem. That will be focused with a study protocol, with a study question, or with a research hypothesis. Got my point? Regulatory status. Registries are non-interventional because we are just collecting the data. We are making a register. Registry studies could be interventional or non-interventional. So check this line. The terms phase 4 non-interventional, prospective observational study, post-marketing study, and post-authorization safety study are referred as observational studies. And it is a discrete decision. It is a discrete decision of design and country of interest. Every country has different definition for registry and different definition for observational studies. But this is officially by WHO, what I'm showing you. Okay. Okay, so now we are clear about the registry and registry studies. Any question here? Okay, you can write up the questions and we can clear later also, no problem. And if you have any question, please raise the hand, and they can unmute you and you can ask in between also, no problem. So now let's come to the types of registries. Types of registries or registry studies are nothing, but it depends. As I was telling, maybe patient-centric study, maybe disease-centric study, maybe super specialty study, maybe any device study. Actually, registries are very famous and very much important for the devices. Post marketing, once the device is in the market, like cardiac devices, orthopedic devices, neuro devices, or any kind of devices, healthcare devices, if in the market, like stents, pacemakers, ICDs, anything, CRTs, if anything is in the market, they go for the registries. Why? They check for all the informations, how their patients doing, and how is the trend of improvement and how is the trend of outcomes. So they check for that, they check for all the data. So types of registries are just depend on the condition. Like first is, you can see here, patient centric, patient registry. Second is population registry. When we check a population, whether that population have a single disease or multiple disease, single condition or multiple condition, we are following a population, we are following a community. So that is community-based registry. First is patient-based. First is someone is speaking. Any question? No. Okay. So first one is patient-centric registry. Patient registry. Second is population registry. Patient registry will be patient-centric. We are taking only breast cancer patients. We are taking only heart failure patients. Second is population registry. Population registry means we are centered to one community, one population. Whether it is heart failure, whether it is breast cancer, whether it is asthma, whether it is COVID, anything it could be, but we are focused on one population, one community, and we are gathering all the information about the population, right? Third is, see, as we can see, this is heart. So this condition or this type of registries are called super specialty registries. Super specialty registries means, okay, we are focusing only on one disease, only on one super special condition, like depression, maybe on arrhythmias, like supraventricular tachycardia, or maybe we are focusing on heart failure, or maybe we are focusing on, breast cancer. Breast cancer registry is again super specialty registry. You know, or we are focusing on resistant TB, drug resistant tuberculosis. Again, not population registry. These are super specialty registries. So these are some types. And then device registry, as I was telling you, device registry, maybe that is related to stent. Okay, the company wants to check the efficacy of the device, efficacy of a stent, or efficacy of the pacemaker, or efficacy of their CRTs, cardiac synchronizing therapy, or maybe their ICDs, or maybe orthopedic devices, anything, they want to check the efficacy, or they just want to check the post-marketing surveillance. And then, see, this is something very interesting, and it is very important. Registries are, mostly done, mostly, how they started registry. The study registries were started, I mean, mainly in the healthcare system by the insurance companies and the device companies. So the fifth type is payers registry. Payers registry, PAYERS, payers registry. Who is paying for your healthcare? They want to check your condition, they want to check your trend, because they have to pay. They want to observe your health, they want to observe your complete health. They are not intervening, they are just checking over, they are looking an eye on your health. So fifth type of registry is payers registry. There are many types of registries based on the the type, but these fives we consider mainly: patient, population, super specialty, device, and payers registry. Now, purpose and uses of a registry study. Of course, in the clinical research, because clinical research is the part where we used to check the trends, we used to check the drug effectiveness or efficacy, or clinical outcomes, or maybe the what we say, the investigations, association of investigations with outcomes. Many things are there in clinical research. Then benchmarking. What is benchmarking? Benchmarking is nothing but comparative studies, the guideline making. When we are comparing with standard of care, or when we are comparing two drugs, comparative studies. Of course, it could be registry, but both should be the standard of care. Like what? Like carvedilol and bisoprolol. Both are beta blockers, right? And we need to check the efficacy of both. So we have to collect all the hypertensive patients in a registry study, and we will check the comparative. We will compare the outcomes for both the drugs, and we will set the benchmark. We will set the guideline, like, okay, bisoprolol is better than metoprolol in heart failure treatment, right? Or we can say, like, okay, bisoprolol is reducing the blood pressure by 7 mmHg or 4 mmHg than carvedilol or metoprolol. So we are setting a benchmark. Or versus placebo also we can do. Placebo could be, of course, intervention, but we are not giving actually placebo. We are just patients who are not taking that drug and who are taking that drug. Maybe because there are the standard of care, if you are giving that drug, if you're not giving that drug. Correct. So benchmark setting. Then cost effectiveness of any drug. Why? How cost effectiveness of the drug is we can check by a registry study. Of course, we can do, because registry studies are collecting all the information: health resource utilization, economics, health economics, and we are using registries everywhere. We are collecting all the data and we are analyzing which drug is cost effective. For 1 year, okay, one patient is taking clopidogrel and another patient is taking ticagrelor. Like, both are the same category, P2Y12 inhibitor, and both are antiplatelets, clopidogrel and ticagrelor. But ticagrelor, one tablet was 75 rupees. One tablet cost is 75 rupees in the market. Now it has come down to 30 or 35 after their patent has gone. But It is costly. And clopidogrel, you can take in 1 rupee or 1.5 rupees, one tablet. So when you check the cost effectiveness, okay, you will tell me, when the price is already there in the market, it is very costly, it is not costly, then how you can check the cost effectiveness? Cost effectiveness is not only the pricing. Cost effectiveness means the 1 year outcomes, which is giving you the best outcome with the best price, the best benefits. And that you can do with a registry study. That you can check with the registry study. How much the healthcare related, your health related quality of life is improving. How many events you got in between, in 1 year, within 1 year with clopidogrel, how many events you got with the ticagrelor, how much you spent. So suppose there are two patients, one is on clopidogrel, one is on ticagrelor, right? So clopidogrel patient got admitted twice for the bleeding events, and ticagrelor patient did not get admitted. Okay, any not a single admission within 1 year. So the clopidogrel patient, he just spent 4,000 or 5,000 extra in 1 year on the drug, but he spent 15,000 extra on the admission. So that's how we calculate the cost effectiveness of a drug. So that can be done by a registry study, right? Got it? Then population surveillance, as I told you, we can just focus on a community and we can gather all the information. Then clinical efficacy, of course, the drug effectiveness, and then device or treatment surveillance. And these are the uses. We can use these all purposes into guidelines development, into regulatory reporting, into value-based reimbursement, the payers registry, as I was telling. Patient engagement, we can engage the patient into this in a right way. And post-marketing surveillance, registry-based clinical trials we can conduct. We can develop these registries and the results related to registries in our education system. And we can use these registry studies for the certification and accreditation to the hospital that, okay, we are giving the best treatment. Our treatment is better than the other center. When it is multi-centric, we can compare the results, compare the centers also for their efficacy, for their outcomes, and for their treatment pattern, and for the mortality. Okay, this center is showing for 5% mortality, this center is showing only 3% mortality. Okay, that's better. So for the certification and accreditation also, we can use the registry studies. So okay, this paper we have published in 2016 when I was just starting the registry, like only 1 year after my registry started. We have published this paper because that time, and of course now also, I feel registry studies are the need of the hour in India. So in 2016, registry disease study in cardiology in India, the need of the hour. Okay, and then I'll give you a global example. I have been a part of this registry. I was telling the report HF. So this study was conducted by Novartis, and you won't believe they spent around $300 billion. $300 billion on this registry. $300 billion on international registry to assess medical practice with longitudinal observation for treatment of heart failure. Report HF. They spent $300 billion on this registry. See, what is the rationale of this registry? I'll read the methods only. Data collection for the registry will be conducted at more than 300 sites located in more than or around 40 countries. That's how they spent $300 billion just to get the data, just to gather the data. Nothing else, no drug, no intervention, nothing. You just have to collect the data, and they just have to tell, okay, this is the trend in the world now in the heart failure. This is the trend around the globe in the heart failure, how the patients are being treated in India, how the patients are being treated in Africa, how the patients are being treated in somewhere, some other continent. So that is the power of registry. Just collecting the data, how important it is. You can think of. So comprehensive data, including demographics, clinical presentations,
comorbidities, treatment patterns, quality of life, in hospital and post-discharge outcomes. In hospital and post-discharge outcomes for 3 years. They followed up for the patients for 3 years. You know, and health utilization. Health utilization, health utilization means they have included all the investigations, what all the investigations are there, how much time the patient invested or spent in the ICU, how much he spent in the ward, how much the patient caregivers spent on the patient, how many times echo was done, how many times angiography was done, how many times the patient the doctor revisited or visited the patient. So the cost analysis, the cost analysis, health utilization, everything was collected. Everything was collected and analyzed in a proper way. They have enrolled more than 20,000 patients. 20,000 patients and followed up them for 3 years. Okay, now let's come to the another topic, and we will sentence or this statement was given by Dr. William McBride in Lancet, the medical journal Lancet, in 1961. So he has written like, in recent months, I have observed that the incident of multiple severe abnormalities in babies delivered of women who are given the drug thalidomide during pregnancy as an antiemetic or as a sedative to be almost 20%. I'll simplify it. So he told that I have observed the multiple severe abnormalities or congenital problems in the babies delivered by the women or delivered by the women who were on the thalidomide, who took the thalidomide for the vomitings or maybe as a sedative, and that incidence of multiple severe abnormality is 20%. So this is about the thalidomide tragedy, or thalidomide induced pregnancy or the abnormalities. Teratogenicity, if you remember, teratogenicity, right? Thalidomide induced teratogenicity, we call it, right? It is known as teratogenicity, like fetal abnormalities. So it was 20%. After that, the drug was banned in various countries, and they started the monitoring bodies in different parts of the country, different parts of the globe. Like in US, FDA has come, Food and Drug Administration USA, to keep eyes on the drugs and drugs related problems, right? European medicines agency has come in European Union. Therapeutic goods administration has come in Australia. But believe me, India had an established Central Drug Standard Control Organization since 1945. Since 1945, India has that CDSCO. But they started drug safety monitoring from 1961 or 1960. I'm not sure about this the year, but yes, everyone started after the thalidomide, teratogenicity. So why? What is drug safety monitoring? What we come to know from this story? Because drug could be a problem. Drug can cause the problems in the human body, in your body, in patient's body, in maybe their next generations, anywhere. The side effects, adverse events, drug interactions. There are multiple drug-related problems which can be done by a drug. So we have to monitor. We just do not have to keep surveillance in phase 1, phase 2 animal studies or phase 3 trials. No, those things are very small. We are just following the drugs. We are just taking care of the drug related problems or anything for a few years, right? 1 or 2 years, maximum 5 years. But the actual data we get in the post market surveillance, when the drug is in the market, we get the actual data at that time, right? We get the long-term effects, we get the long-term data, we get the long-term side effects only in the post-marketing surveillance. Now let's connect it to registries. Drug safety monitoring and clinical registries. So just look at these three words, or these three terms. Observed. Dr. William McBride has observed. Observational study. Got my point? Observational study. Severe abnormalities, drug related problems. Who were given the drug related problems? So that's how we need drug safety monitoring, and we can observe that through the clinical registries. Understand? The drug related problems could be observed through the clinical registries. So data or drug safety monitoring can be done by clinical registries. That's how we establish, and that's how we do. Now I will prove it in the next slides. So this is just a drug safety monitoring system, just for your understanding. When we in the post-marketing surveillance, when we get any suspected side effects or adverse event or any quality concerns or any error from the medication, then we just detect it and we generate it. We collect the data related to that. We analyze the casualty by Naranjo scale or by WHO scales, and we determine the risk, and then we make the decision, appropriate decision, and we take the appropriate action. Maybe we ban the drug, or we it will be market withdrawal or product recall. It could be anything. This is just a pharmacovigilance system, right? Drug safety monitoring system is nothing but pharmacovigilance. The another term for drug safety monitoring is pharmacovigilance. Okay, so this is normal, we all know. Now let's come to the point. Registry studies and DSM, drug safety monitoring. So here you can check out the drug development process, DSM and clinical registry, how we will connect it. So when we start, when we look at a drug development process, it starts from the discovery and development, then preclinical research, then clinical research, then FDA drug reviews, then it comes to the post-market drug safety monitoring. That means the safety monitoring is coming at the at the end, after the post-marketing surveillance only. It is coming after the post-marketing surveillance only. So here we need drug safety monitoring at the end point, after post-market, right? And then here only we need registries. Where we do registries? We do not do registry at clinical research or in preclinical research or FDA drug reviews. No, we do registries only for the post-market survey, post-marketing surveillance, right? So drug safety monitoring and registries are the parallel part, If we want drug safety monitoring, registry studies are the best. Now let's redefine the use of clinical registries and use in the drug safety monitoring. Post-market treatment surveillance, why we check it and why we need, and how the registries will help in post-marketing treatment surveillance or drug safety monitoring. We can check out drug effectiveness for a long term, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or for a short term also. We can report that, and we can help in guidelines making, right? Preparing guidelines for that. We can check out for all the drug related problems, like side effects, adverse events, interactions, drug related problems, whatever drug related problems you are facing, you can just collect them in the registry and you can report them. And cost effectiveness, of course, I was describing cost effectiveness. So these are the uses of clinical registries, basically for the drug safety monitoring. How we can use registry studies for drug safety monitoring. Now let's experience Manipal heart failure registry, my own registry, in the way of drug safety monitoring. Okay, this is the best example I could give, and I cannot tell you more than this on drug safety monitoring and registries. I'll tell you the best part of my registries, and you will get everything about drug safety monitoring through my eyes, or through the Manipal Heart Failure Registry. So Manipal Heart Failure Registry, that full name is a long-term prospective and descriptive study. Long-term, we thought for 3 years, but now we are following for 10 years. Just now we are completing 5 years in August. Prospective, it is prospective. We are not collecting the data from the past or from the files. It is prospective. Whatever patients are coming to the hospital, my team is collecting. Descriptive means full description, complete information about the patient, about the treatment, about the investigations, about outcomes, about health resource outcomes, about health resource utilizations, everything, about the costs. All costs are being collected. So descriptive study of heart failure in a tertiary care hospital in South India. Right. You can visit this study. Just type Manipal Heart Failure Registry if you want to know more in Google, and just type Manipal Heart Failure Registry. You will get everything. So if you want complete information, you can check out the clinicaltrials.gov, or you can just type the number NCT 031572219. This is the number of my registry. You can just type this in Google, and our registry will be opened up. Okay, now what we is a table where we compared our registry with another Indian, Asian, and global heart failure registries. Global heart failure registries. One sec, I have a chat something. Okay. So in our registry, age, percentage of gender, etiology. What was the etiological factors? All the etiological factors, all the comorbidities we checked. The type of heart failure, whether it is acute or chronic, which heart failure, types of heart failure, whether it is heart failure with reduced ejection fraction or preserved ejection fraction, or it is mid-range ejection fraction, everything. What was the biomarkers level, NT-proBNP level? What was the heart rate? What was the systolic BP, diastolic BP? What was the length of stay of the patient into the hospital? Everything was collected. Not only this, lot of things. This is the things where what we could compare with another studies. So just for your information, the surprising results, how we can get the surprising results from our study, from a registry study, I'll tell you. Yeah. So check out here. In our study, the mean age was 64.3 years. That is, of course, less than the international parameters. In India, you will not believe, the Indian patients are very, very young to develop heart failure. They get the heart failure in the age of 53 years, and compared to the global data, where in US and Europe, they get in the age of 73. In India, they are 20 years early, right? But still, in our study, it was 64 years. Now, see, in our study, when we compared all the data, when we collected all the data, we came to know with the very, very great fact that anemia is the major comorbidity with heart failure patients. Heart failure patients develop anemia. 43% of the patient developed anemia. See, 43%. It was not even considered in other Indian or Asian or any European or US registries. Only one registry has considered, and they took it very, very long back, like 15%. But in our registry, we got 43% patient developed anemia. So heart failure, anemia is a major concern. That is a new finding you got from a registry. You won't believe, it was published in European Journal of Heart Failure, impact factor 10.10 plus. Then in our study, 68% patients were acute de novo heart failure. Okay, this is just for the trend. Why I'm telling this, this is like interesting facts from the registry, what we can get, how we can get. Then look at this, how we can correlate with the treatment pattern and with the outcomes. Here, look at this, the slide. Drug safety monitoring, the treatment pattern, and the outcome trend. This is within 24 hours only. Initial heart failure treatment. The patient has come to the hospital with shortness of breath, with the pedal edema, with DOE, or with the dyspnea on rest, and orthopnea or paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, PND, everything. Patient has come up with the standard symptoms, with the full typical symptoms of heart failure, and we started diuretics immediately. We have to start diuretics just to reduce the congestion, just to reduce the symptoms, right? So we gave furosemide in 86.4% patient within 24 hours of the admission. 86.6%, 86.4% patients received injectable furosemide. Different doses, of course. The dose analysis are there, but here I'm just showing the data, the simple, basic data. Otherwise, it was very extensive. If you check out only furosemide or diuretics, you will get 3-4 slides. So now look at this. This p-value is showing was associated with mortality. So the patients who took or who received the furosemide, injectable furosemide, within 24 hours of the admission, drug safety monitoring. Remember, drug safety monitoring. The patients who received furosemide within 24 hours, the mortality rate was very high within 1 month, 12 months, and 24 months. When we checked at 3 time points, it was high, and it was significantly high mortality. Why? Is it a fault of furosemide? No, or maybe. But the factor what we came to know was that the patient who received furosemide were very much severe in the condition. They were in the maybe end phase, or they had the severe left ventricular systolic dysfunction. That was the fact, right? But we cannot deny that fact, that we can try some other element or some other substance than furosemide. We can try another drug, because furosemide consumption or furosemide administration within 24 hours was dangerous. Got my point? So we developed an hypothesis here that, okay, furosemide within 24 hours could lead to the higher mortality rate. We should look into the another options. Got my point? Same when it came to the inotropes, positive inotropes, negative inotropes in heart failure patient, we have to give the inotropes, right? So dobutamine patients, dobutamine was given just in 27.1% patients, but these 27.1% patients showed the highest mortality within 6 months, highest mortality. So we can look into the other options like levosimendan, dopamine. So this is how the registry studies will give you the exact data. Now let's check here. Survival. When we did the intense statistics, survival functions, what we got, the green color, the loop diuretics was given, and here check out. So in the patients who received the diuretics, the survival days or the survival was only 439 days. But who did not receive the diuretics or like injectable diuretics or injectable furosemide, the survival estimation was 527 days. Intense statistics just from the registry, but it is giving you the very defined results. The patients with diuretics had very less survival in compared to the patient who did not receive diuretics, similar to inotropes. Okay, now some other disease modifying drugs we are giving in the index during the index hospitalization to the patients. We're giving to some other patients, right? Beta blockers were given for 43.6%. Mortality was very high in 12 months. Now there are many types, ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, ARBs, ARAs, like spironolactone, aldosterone receptor antagonist, right? Spironolactone we give to the heart failure patients in hypertension, if there are hypertension with heart failure, or maybe heart failure, because these all therapies are for the heart failure, and these are disease modifying drugs. Disease modifying drugs means they have the power to modify your cellular changes as well. So let's come to the last two lines. Check out dual therapy, maybe beta blockers and ACE inhibitors or ARBs. So here, look at this. Dual therapy was given in 36.7% patients. If you check the p-value, it is significant. So here we came to know the analysis was in the way to check the better outcomes. So the dual therapy showed the better outcome than monotherapy. The patient who received two drugs, two antihypertensive or disease-modifying drugs in heart failure, showed the better outcomes than a monotherapy. Monotherapy means maybe only beta blockers or ACE or ARBs or ARA. Right. Now triple therapy. The patient who took the triple therapy or who received the triple therapy, three drugs together, they showed the best outcomes, better than monotherapy and better than dual therapy as well. So here we came to know the trend of treatment, the drug monitoring. Okay, one drug, two drug, or three drugs, triple drugs, right? So here utilization, complete utilization pattern. This is the beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, ARA. How we have started, you can check out. See the diuretics, the ACE inhibitors. See here, we have started with 50% and we reached within 2 years, we reached around 60%. Oral diuretics, initially we were given to more than 70%, around 80%, but because we cannot continue injectable diuretics or maybe oral diuretics also for long term, so it has come down to 45% within 2 years, right? So this is the utilization pattern, the trend of treatment trend, the drug monitoring, the utilization pattern, treatment trend. Now you will say, okay, you are talking about drug monitoring, but you did not tell us about the errors or side effects or adverse events. Where did you do that? Let's check. We used the basic one, the standard one, classification for the medication errors. That was given by National Coordinating Council for Medication Error and Reporting and Prevention, NCCMERP. There are basically 9 categories for medication errors. When we checked in our patients, you won't believe, see the results. See the exact drug safety monitoring, how it goes. This is for the 610 patients, only for first year. Like in 2016, we collected 610 patients and we followed them for 2 years. This is just data for 610 patients. Otherwise, we have around 3,500 patients right now in our study. So for 610 patients, first year, for 610 patients in hospitalization, during the hospitalization only, not the follow-up, only in the hospitalization, there were around 3,696 or 3,700 prescriptions for 610 patients. So 6 prescription per patient. And every prescription has around 10 drugs. So total drug prescribed for 610 patient during the hospitalization was 37,000. 37,000 drugs for 610 patients only within 5 days. Prescription here means daily prescription, because we change the prescriptions daily in the intensive care units or in the hospital. When patient is there, we change the maybe some dose or maybe some, we stop some drug, we replace some drug. So the prescriptions means daily prescriptions, daily doctor's order, we calculated. So you won't believe, it is a very less percentage wise. If you see, it is very, very much lower, right? But if you check out, see, missed dose error were around 2,700 missed dose, 3,500 missed units, 702 spelling mistakes, 258 overwriting. It's such a premier institute, Manipal, such a premier institute, of course. And if we get other hospitals' data, you will be wondered in 10,000s. But in a premier institute, you get this much. If you check out all the drug monitoring, if you check out the each and every part of the prescription and drug, you will get a lot of mistakes. See here, administrating errors, thousands, dispensing error, 700, wrong time error, 73, monitoring error, check out monitoring error, 29. Monitoring error are the most dangerous error when everyone is monitoring and still the drug is reaching to the patient and causing harm, right? So here, now adverse event. We checked out all the adverse events. There were many minor. These are severe and some moderate adverse events. So we got 18 adverse events, 3% adverse events in our index hospitalization. In long term, it reached to 6 to 7%. But we were counseling our patients extensively all over the 3 years. We are still counseling our patients. Our team is still doing a lot of great work. They are following up the patients over phone, over computers, over mobiles. They are checking up, they are calling them for any problem. Every week they're calling if they're taking medicines on time or not, if they're following the restrictions, if they're not doing anything, like they are following extensively. That's why our rate of adverse events is very less, because all of the patients are following up the So severe drug interactions were not noted much. And yeah, these 3% adverse events we noted. Now, bonus slide, what else we can get from the hospital? What else we can get from the registries? Hospital stay distribution. We have checked even the timings we checked. Patient reached to the hospital through the OPD, outpatient department. So the patient spent around 759 hours in the emergency, 2.5 hours per patient in the emergency. In ICU, they spent around 972 days, 1.9 days per patient. Now, surprising fact here, what we got from this registry. The patient who are spending more than 36 hours in the hospital ICU, in the intensive care unit, had the highest mortality for 6 and 12 months. At 6 and 12 months, if the patient is spending more than 36 hours in the ICU, they showed the maximum mortality. On the ventilator, similarly, the 58% patients were needed to get into the ventilator, and they spent around 6,000 hours on ventilator. Around 16 or 17 hours per patient they spent on ventilator. Surprising fact, the patient who was spending more than 12 hours of their hospital stay on ventilator, that group has the highest mortality, highest in hospital mortality. Surprising facts. Okay, so now this is the reference where we can get the clinical registries uses and role of clinical registries in drug safety monitoring and efficacy monitoring. And I hope I have discussed the part and how we can use the clinical registries in drug safety monitoring. And these are the just references: monitoring drug safety, Hyderabad. So you guys can join us. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Now the session is open for the question and answer session. You can ask your questions here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ajit Singh. Any questions from the delegates, please?
Hi, any questions? I'll be
Yes.
happy before yes to answer the
Yes,
questions before leaving. Yes,
delegates,
sir.
any questions you have? Thank you, Dr. Ajit Singh. Any questions you can write on the chat box?
Or you can raise your hand. You can speak now. No problem.
Yes.
Anything will be fine for me.
Because registry is a concept which is there in India but not expanded yet.
Yes, true.
We have cancer registries, pregnancy related. We have a few of the registries, but the expansion has not done yet
True.
as it is seen in the foreign or Western world.
Correct, sir. Okay, so our I think audience is very brilliant. They don't have questions.
No, we will take it in the sense that your session was quite well delivered, and you have touched almost all the parameters of a registry and those what a registry can help basically, and how it is beneficial in a larger studies. And we know until unless we have data, we cannot do anything. So you cannot work out anything. So data are everything for understanding the how the vaccines are working, or how the drugs are working in heart failure, or how other drugs are have a benefits or harm. So in a total way, if you see, registries are play a very important role in every
True.
aspect.
Yes.
So I would like to thank Dr. Ajit Singh from the organizer side, and I must congratulate him for his well talk delivery, and I hope that we will have such associations going further.
Okay, someone has some questions. Thank you. Okay, so no questions. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Again, I would like to thank Poona College of Pharmacy, Bharatiya Vidya University.
Hello, Ajit.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. I cannot hear you properly, ma'am.
Hello, Ajit. Am I audible to you?
No, your
This is
voice is
Dr.
cracking, madam.
Sabri.
Your voice is breaking,
How
madam.
are you? And your talk was good.
Ma'am, your
Your talk was good. Ajit, I just wanted to know that I think last time.
ma'am, your voice is breaking actually. Can you type your question, ma'am, if possible?
Voice is breaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It is breaking actually.
Am I audible now?
A little bit.
Madam, actually your voice is not clear.
Am
So
I audible?
no, madam, no, not at all.
Okay. Okay, fine. Fine. I'll just put it in.
Yes, you put the question on the chat box.
Yes, ma'am. Please put it in the chat box. So any other question we can talk about by the time? Okay, whether multicentric studies are successful in making a registry? Yes, multicentric studies are the best for registry. Multicentric studies are the best for registries because single center anyone can do, and it will show a very limited information, like about one community, or about what we say. Um, the perimeter, or about a very limited population it will show the single center studies. If I talk about the KMC Manipal only, or about only one hospital, it will give you a glance of one hospital. But if you do the multicentric, like in Maharashtra, so it will give you the glance of complete Maharashtra. If you do it on a national level, it will give you an update or the information about all the corners from India. all the corners from India, like, okay, in South India something is different, in North India, and of course it is different because our cultures are different, our food habits are different, our geographic conditions are different, our weather is different. So everything affect health, everything it affects health. So our health conditions also are totally disturbed by that, or totally affected by that. So we always go for the multicentric studies. If you need to do registry, better you go for multicentric study. Yes, ethical clearance is very much required in registry studies. In observational studies, you may not go for audiovisual consent, but nowadays audiovisual consent is also required if your registry is multicentric, and if it is derived from the DCGRI or from the ICMR, if it is registered in DCGRI or CTRI, you may need audiovisual consent. But in observational studies, actually observational studies, it is not necessary. But yes, ethical clearance is very much necessary from each and every hospital, every center, because you are involving human. Wherever you are involving humans in the study, you have to go for ethical approval. Whether you are just asking the name, or whether you are just asking what disease you have, what drug you are taking, you are collecting the information from a human being. So you have to get his consent or her consent. And for the consent process, you need to take the ethical approval. Ethical clearance is very much needed.
Yes, thank you, Ajit sir. Madam Manjusha, madam, you would like to add something?
I think madam has one more question. Yes, ma'am, please write. Sorry, madam has one more question. Okay. Yes, pediatric patients also you can involve. No doubt, no problem. There are many pediatric patients registries. In that case, their father or their mother or their legal parents, they give the consent. We can do it, no doubt. Until unless we are not intervening anything, we are not giving any intervention, we are not putting anything from our side, we can collect the data under registry.
Thank you, Ajit sir, for wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thanks for accepting our invitation also.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Abhijoy sir. Thank you, Asawari madam, and thank you, Pawar sir, and Poona College of Pharmacy whole team. You are doing a wonderful job. I was at 4-5 days before, I thought to call you for the collaboration for this vaccine safety monitoring and reporting series. Then suddenly I came to know that your program is also going till 30th, of the February, this 13th of the February. So I just fast back, like, okay, I'll not disturb them this for this event. So yeah, I'm very much disappointed with that, of course, but what to do, you are also having your program, and we are also conducting this program on this time. So I hope and I wish you all the best and best success for this program, sir. Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Ajit sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for delivering such an eye-opening session. Now I would request everyone to put on their video for a screenshot.
Okay, I'll just wait a second. I'll just put it. Okay, it's not sharing now.
No, sir.
So now we are winding up the program for today. I hope you all will certainly be back with us tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this very same platform with same enthusiasm. Thank you everyone for joining us and spending your precious time with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Panda sir.